if you can't win the Premier League, then you finish runners-up?
Well, you have to be always as good as you possibly can. Obviously, the dream of winning the Premier League this season is gone. So, as we said, be the best of the rest and feel that pain to be better.
These games we've had against Arsenal this year have been very difficult games. They've been really evenly poised. I think we've come out on the right side of them, but the games themselves have been really tight and really difficult. We're pleased with how we performed, but we know that if our standards had dropped a really small amount, Arsenal would have capitalised on that. So I think we go into the game with confidence from the previous games, but with a realisation we need to perform at our best as we have done against them.
Tim, you've sat on this couch a few times this season and said Arsenal won't finish second. You've had a feeling. Now suddenly Newcastle could overtake them.
Yeah. I'm not sure if I actually said they won't. I said there was a good chance they might not. They get chased down once they couldn't win it, because when they've been chasing the big prize and all of a sudden you can't, it is a massive down, especially with the Champions League when they dropped out of there. So they've got to pick themselves up again to finish second. But it doesn't matter if they finish second or third, really. I mean, it makes no difference to them. Newcastle's a really tough game for them. So I think they've got it all to do, and I think they possibly could get chased down. And it's not been a good season, for Arsenal. You'd have to say you look at progression. I just feel like once Man City have dropped away, the expectation was, well, Arsenal will just jump in, but Liverpool have come from nowhere, largely because of a fantastic appointment in a manager. I like Mikel, I really do, and I like the way he's going with Arsenal, but they need to win something. My dad's an Arsenal fan. He's getting quite fed up with the fact that they haven't won, and he's getting no younger.
They did go to Anfield last weekend and managed that 2-2 draw, but another red card as well, which means the man who's been filling in for Kai Havertz up top, Mikel Merino, is now out of this game.
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, it's it's a long old season. These things happen, but Liverpool and Anfield, they're one of the best teams in Europe.
Absolutely, yeah.
They're going to go. Look at what a pass that is, by the way. That is superb. Look at that. What a goal. And they just took their foot off the pedal, and this is about the Premier League, and they just kept going. And in the end, they get their just rewards. Lovely little spin ball in there, wasn't it? And no, I mean they've got a lot of guts in the way that they've played this year, Arsenal. But at the end of the day, it's just they're going to come second or third. They're sort of progressing, if you like. For me, they need a number 9. Yeah. They need a number 9, and there's no doubt about it. Everyone's been saying it for months, but there's so many games where you think ball flashed across the 6-yard box, or a real number 9 there just to put the ball in the back of the net, and they would have had 5, 6, 7 or 8 more points on the board.
Kai Havertz has been injured since February, and he's still their top scorer. He trained this week. Would you start him?
I don't think there's any need to start him. If there's a risk, it's a hamstring injury. Yeah. If there's any risk at all, just leave him. Let him have the summer. Yeah. I don't think there's any need to risk it. What does it matter, really? They're going to finish in the Champions League.
No real reward, is there? There's no reward for him. The risk and the reward are they're unbalanced. So you wouldn't risk him.
And he's not a 9 anyway, Glenn.
No, he's not.
He's not that 9 they need. No. Berta has gone in there now. He needs to make sure he gets his head together with a manager, Mikel Arteta, and he needs to find that number 9.
It's a tough battle, as you mentioned, against a Newcastle side that cruised against Chelsea last time out. We talk about Alexander Isak every week, and I'm sure we'll talk about him this week as well, because there have been links between him and Arsenal. But let's talk about Tonali and the impact he's made.
Well, for me, Tonali, since he had the ban, has come back a different player. He's learned his lessons, if you like, and he just feels, for me, it feels as if he owes the club something. He's done that in his performances. His all-round game, he's turning into a goal scorer, an assister. And, he can play in that deeper role, and he dispossesses people, he can track people. He's got a little bit of everything. And I don't know, Tim, it was just almost like he feels like I owe this to the club.
Yeah.
I feel I've let them down in a way. I know it happened before, but he's just gone up a few gears, and that's a sign of a really top player. If you can just go like that into another gear because of whatever reason, he's definitely more consistent now.
Yeah, it looks like he hasn't been just going home and having a holiday, a long rest. You know, he's looked like he's been working hard, ready for his opportunity, chomping at the bit to get the chance and play in front of the fans. He's gone there and watched. You know, he knows you can get worship there at that football club. You really can. I think the balance in that midfield area with Joe Linton and Gomes is absolutely fantastic. They pushed him on a little bit higher. He wins the ball back, and like Glenn said, he's got a passing range and he scores goals. He's got a full package, this boy. But I think their midfield is one of the best in the Premier League.
Yeah, but so too is their attack line, as we mentioned. Alexander Isak, hot property, I think. If he was to become available, he's got obviously a buyout clause. But if Newcastle do get Champions League football, and you're Isak, would you stay?
I think he would stay. I think he will, and I think it depends on his advisors around him as well. But this lad could play in any team. He could play in Liverpool's team. He could play in Arsenal's team. You know, and he could stay at Newcastle and get some just rewards there as well. But you're seeing goals, all types of goals. He's got great movement. He can drift out wide. He's got so many assets as a number 9. He's more than a number 9, to be honest.
Henry, like.
He is Henry, like, yeah. And he can drift out, as we say, wide, and he can head the ball as well. He's probably better head of the ball than Thierry Henry.
Yeah.
But there's going to be a lot of people after him. I don't know whether they'll prize him away from Newcastle, but it's a great time to be a Newcastle player at the moment. They'll have statues built of them, that squad that have won something for that club. And if they go on and get in the Champions League and do well in the Champions League, don't forget they've had a bit of recent experience in the Champions League, and that'll do them the world of good. So they'll go back in there with a bit more spring in their step, a bit more confidence, a bit more arrogance, if you like, is needed to say, look, we're a good side and we're going to come up. Anyone that plays us, you're going to get a tough game.
Yeah, they've had a sensational season. I think when you look at the Premier League awards nominees, Eddie Howe is there for Manager of the Month, and Isak is there for Manager of the Season, and Isak is there nominated as Player of the Season.
Yeah, I don't think he leaves the football club. It's impossible for him to leave. Two of my good friends, Alan Shearer and Les Ferdinand, say, I mean, obviously Alan's worshipped at the football club because he was there as a boy, you know, growing up, watching the team. But Les was there for a season and a half, and they love him up there. It's really difficult to emulate that any other club you go to after that. I think he realised that if they finish in the Champions League, he will stay at that football club and they will strengthen. They haven't spent any money. I think Eddie Howe needs to take a lot of credit. They've hardly spent. They're probably the richest club in the league, along with Man City, but they don't spend any money. Well, they haven't up to now. But I think he's just waiting for them to do that. And if they do, who knows what they can do? One club in that city, and they worship it. They wait as soon as the game's finished on the Saturday afternoon, they're waiting. They can't wait for the next Saturday to go and watch another football match.
Well, they're talking about a new stadium as well.
Yeah,
you know, the future looks good for Newcastle, I've got to say. You know, and they're a good side. And Eddie Howe, you've got to remember, Eddie Howe, when he took over, they were third from bottom. It wasn't a happy place.
They
were
got
going
knocked out
down.
The FA Cup in the second week he was there against Cambridge.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, it's incredible where he's lifted them to.
Yeah.
Amazing job.
What a job he's done. You know, a future England manager, I'd say, without a doubt.
Well, that game is on Sunday at the Emirates Stadium, Arsenal against Newcastle. Another huge game in the Champions League chase.